Welcome, everyone, to the StopDevaluation My Story interview. And today it is my honor to introduce you to Melissa Dix. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It is a bigger honor for me.
Melissa, when I heard some aspects of your story and I know what you're doing today, I stand in awe that you can go from one place of great devaluation into a place of seeing your value and generating value in your world. So today, let's first talk about your story, the chapters in your life story that held injustice, that were devaluing and dehumanizing.
Well, that is the hope and my prayer that it really does do that. And I believe that it will. And I tell you, so many of us, we start from the bottom. And, I hear a lot of people say, I come from the rough. Well, I really came from the rough. I was born in 1979. I'm 41 years old. And I'm the mother of 5 children, beautiful children. And so as a little girl, I grew up and I had a pretty dysfunctional family. The typical divorce. My mom was, she was handling her situations and my dad was not around. And so a lot of us end up with grandmas, and that was me. And so, I began to feel rejection and abandonment. And although my grandmother, both of them, did me the best that they could, I was still comparing myself, even as a young child, to other children around me. I witnessed some pretty rough things as a kid. I saw my mother abused. My father was incarcerated. I experienced the first death of my family, my papa. It was just it was a huge struggle in life. And then when my grandparents, when my papa passed and my grandmother, potentially she raised me, until I got into my, I guess I would say my pre-adolescent stages of life. I was really angry. And I was misbehaving. I wasn't, I was respectful, but I didn't have it like I would see other people and other kids my age. You would go somewhere and you'd see the mom and the dad together and, automatically, I was an outcast. And so I became pretty mad. I started to fight a lot. And, my grandmother got to a point to where she couldn't handle me. She was elderly, and so I went into foster care. I went through many different foster homes. And that alone was traumatizing. After I actually was able to have a beautiful social worker who I love to this day. Her name's Deborah Fitzgerald. I call her mom. She's such a great person. And she said enough is enough. And so she took me to this group home, and it was an independent living type of thing, and taught me a lot of skills, taught me how to be tough in this mean old world. And so with that being said, the group home was a different way of life. And so I was kind of totally on my own. Family members were not around.
How old were you, Melissa?
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all of those.
11 years old, you had to really care for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And so, it was rough. I did go stay with my dad for a little while, but I had to deal with alcoholism and getting cursed and yelled at and screamed at and called names. And it was just really bad. I didn't have the childhood that you would think about as being a normal childhood. It was just very abnormal. So I got kicked out of the group home for fighting. Here I am, 16 years old, homeless, and then I get pregnant, And then I'm literally on my own, paying my own bills, working, going to school, had my baby, abusive relationship. It was just really, really bad. And so I didn't have a sense of belonging. I didn't know how to love even myself. And I didn't know how to just embrace life on a positive level. I had like a poverty mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I had, oh gosh, I had just this hardcore ride or die. I was like this thug type child and who grew up and never grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so
You were
with
just
that being,
trying to survive.
it was a survival, and it was a survival mechanism, I guess, that my emotions played a part of. And so the abuse continued. I ended up being in a very lengthy relationship, 20 years. And it was the man, it was cheating upon cheating. He had babies by different women. It was just really rough. And I was very depressed. And I ended up pregnant. I had my son, and then I had my daughter, then I had another son, and then I had another daughter. And here I am pregnant again. And I was so depressed because of my situation, just broke and disgusted at life, involved with gang activity and drug activity. I was like, God, this cannot be it. And so I ended up pregnant again, and I had an abortion. And that choice tormented me. It was not the choice for me. And I ended up very sick. I started to drink, and I ended up drinking so much to where I had a hole in my esophagus.
Oh my.
And it almost killed me. The doctor said that I would never, ever sing again because the hole went through my vocal cords and damaged my vocal cords. During that time, the children's dad ended up getting caught up with the police. He went off to prison, and they actually charged me because it was my vehicle and I allowed it. And so I went to jail. I lost every single thing that I had, pictures, albums, scrapbooks I had made. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Except my children. I did not lose my children. And so I had a friend who actually kept my children in a UVA dorm, and she kept them and kept them safe until I got out. And when I got out, so even after that, I had problems. I had issues with having to start over, homeless with my children. I stayed with a family member who was 8 months pregnant and ended up dying of a heart attack and lost her baby and lost her life.
Wow.
And that was traumatizing.
Were there any individuals in your life that saw your value in spite of the things that happened to you and the things that you had done?
Yes. There is a man who is now living in Ghana, and he was actually like a youth pastor to me. He was just himself, and he's always took me in like I was his own. And he's followed me throughout my life and just been a huge guidance and supporter. And he's always seen potential in me, and he's always spoke things in my life that sometimes I didn't even believe myself. But once you keep hearing these things, you start believing them. And so I just changed my own views about myself.
That is so powerful. When someone sees our potential, it helps us see our potential.
Absolutely.
And something that might have felt like a lie to you before, you began to believe. So how did that begin to change how you functioned in life?
What changed is I had a lot of unforgiveness in my heart. And so people that have done me so wrong, and the injustice that has been in my life has been so unreal. I had to come to a place to where I needed to realize it was affecting me.
Yeah.
And
True.
so I just had to let it go. And I had to give it to the Lord, because I mean, we can't bear everything, And so once I started really just giving all of that away, and not holding on to it, and truly forget, well, I did learn that forgiveness is not an emotion, it's a
Mm-hmm.
choice.
Yeah.
So I chose to forgive. And then, everything that we do, it's a choice. And so I just began choosing differently. I chose to quit smoking. I chose to stop doing drugs. I chose to not drink. I chose to think positive about myself and to be a good mom. And I chose to not have a poverty type mentality, and to know that I have worth, and that I mean something, and that I'm going to be somebody. And my children are going to watch me do that, and they're going to see the difference in me compared to what they used to see.
This is so interesting because all the things you experienced as a child, you felt extremely powerless. But
I
what's
did.
happening after someone began to see your potential, it was like you began to gain back your power of choice. And instead of feeling like a victim to the circumstances, you've risen up and saying, I have the power to choose what type of life I'm going to walk in, what type of life I'm going to give to my children. And that has turned so many things around for you. That's a powerful life, Melissa.
Yes, I'm very, very thankful. Well, I'm very grateful. And one thing I can say is I have a great relationship with my mama.
Mm,
My mom was so scared that I would be unforgiving towards her and this and that, because, she was going through so much. She was abused.
sure.
And so it wasn't her fault, but it took me as being an adult
Mm-hmm.
and to learn, the mentality had to change, and I really had to forgive. And once I did that, I got a great relationship with my mom.
Wow.
I
That has
I
probably brought so much healing to her as well.
I think so. I think so. And plus, she's really close with the Lord. We're able to talk. We're able to communicate, um, and I've totally changed even my location. Um, what happened is this relationship that I was in is a very important part of my life. I loved and loved and loved until I didn't love myself. And
Mm.
so I had to realize that, acceptance, I don't have to accept the things that someone does to me. I can forgive, and forgiveness is not acceptance. So you can forgive and move on. And
Yeah.
so I was able to just leave, and I did it just a choice. In one day's time, I upped and left. I packed up my car and my kids. I moved out of state. I completely started my life over. I have now gotten my own business. I have an
Wow.
accounting firm, and just, I remember at one time there were so many tears that I shed because I could not afford even socks for my children. And I remember that. And now it's like I'm able to bless them, and I'm able to see them smile wholeheartedly and not have to worry about the stress of my choices and my decisions. So I had another chance, but it was all
Wow.
due to how I thought about myself and just my choices, period.
What's so beautiful is you are now one that sees others' potential. You're able to look
Absolutely.
past the things that others do to see their value and to see their worth. And it's literally positioning you to not only be a success in your own life, but help others be a success as well.
Yes, very much so. I've got a lot of involvement with the community as far as sex trafficking and sexual
Mm,
assaults, and it's a big, huge thing that's going on daily, and it's happening underneath our nose, and that's, I really can't stand it. It just crushes my heart to see all these children suffer from it, and so
yes.
I was able to create this site to where people come, and I'm like an advocate because I went
Yes.
through it. Now I can send them to the places where they need help, or I can just simply listen or
Yes.
talk to them or be there with them. And even the people that I meet, even in grocery stores, I'm just telling them, be encouraged. I can just tell someone's having a bad day, keep your chin up. This too shall pass and it'll get better from here.
You know
And
what?
so,
You are a present day hero doing simple, everyday acts of justice. You're
wow.
doing the big justice things, as in sex, confronting sex trafficking, but just
Yeah.
all those little things that you do for others, that's simple acts of justice. And
Yes.
that in itself helps heal us, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel good about myself. And I'm very confident of the woman that I've become. And I'm very confident knowing that my children are watching me. I used to be very disgusted with myself and very ashamed, even in the middle of what I was doing. And it's just, that's not who I am anymore. I made my bad decisions, but that does not define who I am. My
That's right.
past does not define who I am. And I've learned a different level of integrity. And so I'm pushing for the mark. I'm raising the bar on character, and on integrity, and just showing grace for other people, because people really need grace.
Yes.
They really need love, and they don't need it to be covered up. They need you to be transparent, keeping it real with them,
Yeah.
and just be truthful and be honest and just be loving, because people need love.
That is so true. Melissa,
Yeah.
as we close, is there anything specific you would like to say to the audience that you want them to know about their value, no matter what they have experienced?
Yes, I would. I'd like to start with children, children and teenagers. If you're in a place and you just are just disgusted with your life and what's going on around you, don't give up. Don't give up. That's what I would say. Don't give up. And to adults, I would just say the world gives us the worst, but we can give the world our best.
Wow,
And
that's good.
so if we just give the world our best and more of us do that, then the world will be better. And
So
so I just
true.
want to think positive. I just want to do better and think positive. And I'm not responsible for the next person, but I can always help the next person.
Very good. Thank you so much, Melissa. What a powerful and poignant story. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I want to thank you for listening and encourage you to become a part of the StopDevaluation movement. Be sure to like and follow #StopDevaluation on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and visit StopDevaluation.com for more information and free resources. You can help spread the movement by sharing with others, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, and most of all, by living a courageous lifestyle of using your power for good. Go out and value someone today. Your life matters, and you can make the world a better place. One word, one choice, one action of validation at a time.